Welcome to the Complete Story series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then we read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panel's text and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. The Hellfire Gala saw many mutants die, and the remaining mutants all went into hiding. Nightcrawler decided to don a Spider-Man costume and live in New York City to live a new life as Spider-Man, until he ran into Mystique, his mother, and he is about to learn the truth of his past. This is the conclusion to the Uncanny Spider-Man story, which the first half will be linked down below. Luckily, Benny had recorded both parts to this, and so I'm glad he will get to finish this story for you. This is X-Men Blue Origins and Uncanny Spider-Man number 5.
The night of the Hellfire attack, the mutants were faced with an impossible task: to leave their home or watch as the anti-mutant organization Orcus killed an increasing number of humans for every one mutant left behind. Professor X telepathically ordered the mutants to escape Earth, but there were a handful who resisted. Mystique was among those who stayed, but it nearly cost her her sanity. Something had been unlocked with Professor X's push. Since then, she's been on a destructive mission to find her baby, one that she had left in a forest, eventually bringing her to a park in New York in hopes of finding him. Seeing this, Nightcrawler, who had been masking himself as Spider-Man, stepped in to try and calm her down, but her blind rage causes her to turn her fury on him, threatening to kill even him. It was that moment that he made mention of Baron Christian Wagner, and that was when she began to try and piece together her fractured memory. What actually happened? How was Nightcrawler born? Over the years, Mystique would use people for her own personal gain, whether it be power, money, or whatever she needed to get by. But Christian was somewhat different. He himself wasn't remarkable or noteworthy in any way, but he served a purpose. Nightcrawler asked if the reason that she was with that man was so that she could actually be with Destiny, her true love. But Mystique pressed her gun to Nightcrawler, telling him, "You do not get to say his name." And it wasn't the reason. Mystique was having an affair with the Darkling Prince Azazel, and she conceived a child. However, when her son was born, she could no longer hide any secret. He showed traits that anyone, especially at the time, would send a town to hunt and kill him. But there was something else. Mystique had escaped, but she had to go back. She had to rescue her wife, Destiny. Mystique's mind splinters once more as her thoughts begin to do more harm than good, and she screams, pointing her gun back at Nightcrawler again, who destroys it by cutting it in half with the Hope Sword. It is then Nightcrawler's turn to be the one in charge, telling her that this sword is more of a symbol than anything, a hope for a better world if possible, and to have the courage to fight for it without certainty or even faith in success. The silly thing has taught him something, that in the hardest hollows, the brightest flames burn, and it is his hope that she will not turn that flame upon him, and that a little borrowed light might help her escape the dark place in her mind that has become her prison. Mystique takes the sword in her hands, and suddenly the shards of her past come together to reveal what she was trying to remember. Professor X's change to her memories are erased. She falls to her knees, stating that it was Destiny. It was all about Destiny, her wife. It was supposed to be a simple love. During their lives, they would meet at times to embrace their love, and others they would part. But there was one thing that they agreed upon, and that was in the times that they were apart, they would only see others when it was beneficial to them. Christian Wagner was one such encounter, but they found a way to enjoy each other a bit longer. You see, Mystique had convinced Christian that they needed a new maid for the estate. But during that time, Azazel appeared, and Azazel wanted to plant his seed. Destiny encouraged the affair with him, but she wasn't sure, and afterwards, she grew distant and distracted, which were signs of their inevitable separation again. So she asked, as she always does, "What does tomorrow hold?" It was an answer that she did not expect. Destiny said that she had not had a vision in months, that her mind had been focused on other designs, that she would like to build a family with Mystique. And together, they made a baby, just the two of them. Nightcrawler's confused. He begins to try and process things, asking how. They're both women. But Mystique scoffs, telling him, "Stop being so naive. I've lived among the sapiens long enough to understand them, be it male or female, and I can be whatever I choose to be, take on any role or form. It isn't only skin that I can shift, I can change on a deeper level. Nightcrawler questions, beginning to put things together. If that is true, then you are dangerously close to playing God. Mystique snaps back at him, telling him that he better not dare say that. Destiny had a knack for always persuading her, and in truth, she was hoping for a daughter. More memories begin to flood in, and Mystique groans. And when Nightcrawler asks if she's all right, Mystique tells him that there is more. She ended things with Azazel immediately after. He, of course, yelled that it was he who was ending things, but really he just wanted to sow his seed and nothing more. At home, though, she grew a bump, at the same rate as Destiny, to keep Christian happy. But still his paranoia grew. He had seen Azazel looking at her. But when it all came to head, Christian found out about Mystique and Destiny, and he threatened to have them killed. It was then that Mystique turned a knife on Mr. Wagner, killing him. She then used his face to dismiss all of the staff, allowing her and Destiny to finally have some peace until that wonderful day. Destiny went into labor, and when the baby was delivered, the doctor said that the boy had passed. There was no crying, no pupil response, and he was completely blue. But Mystique knew better. He was perfect, and he was hers. Soon the doctor found out the truth and saw that she was revealed. He ran back to the town telling everyone what he had seen, claiming it to be devilry on account of Azazel's appearance. When the townspeople came, Destiny told her to take their child and go. She will be fine because she has seen it. Mystique made it to the forest, but she knew she couldn't leave Destiny behind. Placing the boy under a tree, she promised it would only be 5 minutes. There would only be 5 minutes if the boy was alone. She ran back to the mansion and fought her way back in, but Destiny was already gone. And then when Mystique returned to the tree, her son was gone. She fell to her knees in grief, having lost her wife and her child. Nightcrawler began to pull back the mask, stating that he should have done this sooner. But I'm here now. Mystique glares at him. I've known who you are. I felt it deep down when I first saw that ridiculous outfit, Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler says that they need to talk about this, what it means for them to... But Mystique stops him. No, we don't. We've lived a lifetime apart, and I am not that mother anymore, and you are not my baby. This is on you, you and your stupid magic hope stick and unsolicited forgiveness, and we will see where those unchained memories go, no matter the pain. Mystique begins to recall what happened next. After years of wandering, she met Destiny once again sitting in a park, but Destiny knew that she would be upset. However, they would need to put aside that because there was a girl that needed both of them, and her name was Anna Marie. Mystique shouted that it had been 5 years, and Destiny continued stating that the young girl is about to have her fate pulled from under unless they do something. They had rescued the girl, of course, but it wasn't until later that Destiny revealed why she became distant back then, why she suggested that pointless affair. It was because she had had visions of Azazel returning, and it was him that would put an end to both of them. He would kill Mystique and Destiny unless the child born, the one who would become known as Kurt, he had assumed was his. Their son would prevent everyone's death, and he would be the one in whatever future to save them and fend off the hungry beast that would otherwise eat them. She said that he had been raised as an outcast, battered and burned by the world that despised him, yet always made him better with every blow, rising above each one. This sent Mystique into a rage that her son was being used as a mere tool. Destiny said there was a way to fix this, that there was a way to have their minds completely wiped of this memory of Nightcrawler, of Kurt, and that they could then focus on their love and their new daughter. Mystique agreed, but she refused to forget that the boy was hers. That part will not be removed. But the more Mystique thinks about it, the more she screams. Professor X didn't break her mind. She had broken his work in concealing the truth, and now she was seeing it. She shouts that she let him steal her love for Nightcrawler away, that she let him take away the life that the two of them should have had. Nightcrawler kneels down beside her, saying that her son is here, and she doesn't have to be alone anymore. I'm not here because of some fate or prophecy. I'm here because I need you as much as you need me. I've needed you my whole lonely life. And it is in the darkest hollows Let the brightest flames burn. But we now cut a little later in our story. Nightcrawler has been captured and he has now been brought to the Orcus base. Adrian Toombs the Vulture is happy. He snaps his fingers, smiling at Silver Sable. Let it be known that Orcus honors its promises. She looks at one of her soldiers who confirms that the payment has been wired into their account. Adrian smiles, telling Sable that the contract is finished, that she may leave. Unless there's truth to the rumors, complications with your target. But he turns back to Kurt, cuffed on the ground, surrounded by Orcus soldiers and the mutant hounds that Toombs has created. Assemble the firing squad. No headshots. We'll need a brain to dissect if we're going to figure out how he hides from our scatters. As Sable and her squad turn to leave, Creamer stops her by raising his weapon. He looks over his shoulder, warning Toombs that Sable was planning on betraying him, that she had warned Wagner of the impending capture, but Toombs shrugs. What's the big deal? It hasn't helped her. We got our man. And Creamer reaches up, pulling off his helmet. I suspect they conspired to come up with some sort of ruse, he says as Kurt removes the helmet, revealing his smiling face. Kurt and Sable begin to move quickly and begin to fight the Orcus soldiers, Toombs sighing, looking at the other soldiers around them. Kill them both, obviously! He stops, looking at Kurt, who is cuffed on the floor. But if Nightcrawler's over there, who are you? The cuffed Kurt's skin begins to change and morph, and it slides away to reveal concealed weapons within as Mystique takes her true form, drawing the weapon, standing up, beginning to fire into the Orcus guards. Kurt whirls around and is standing next to Sable. Savija, I know this is something that normally happens later in a relationship, but meet my mom, Kurt says awkwardly. Mystique whirls and kicks several soldiers in the face while firing at them. One of your moms, she says in correction. Sable moves to help Mystique while Kurt turns to help the other captured mutants. Don't let her flirt with you, okay? Kurt shouts over his shoulder. He moves further into the facility until he arrives at the primary system of the building. The systems are locked! I can't access the containment software. He curses, but the small demon Kurt appears by his side. Don't worry, pal. There's another way. The demon version of him states, and they move through the building until they find a doctor. One of the ones who broke his mind trying to read Mystique's thoughts in the past. Empty vehicle needs a driver, the demon says with a smile, and he slips into the man's mind, taking control of his body and leading him back to the council, where he begins to tap on it. It's like I thought, biometrics and muscle memory, he says, and energy begins to spark as the true captive of Orcus is set free, the one that the Vulture has been using to make all of these hounds. Kurt bamfs into another room, knocking his mother and Sable to the ground. Everybody get down! He shouts, and energy rips through the room as Warlock is released. He rushes into the facility. Sylva's free at last! Warlock shouts, energy sparking through Toombs' hounds as the Warlock tech attached to them begins to short circuit. Kurt gets to his feet, smiling. Warlock. Self friend Kurt! Self has been captive for many cycles. A great joy to behold you. Boundless gratitude for liberation. Please excuse Self for a moment. Warlock shouts. He turns back to the hounds, pulling off the tech that traps them, bringing it back to himself, recreating his body. Believe victims will make full recovery after limited power down, Warlock says as the hounds fall unconscious. But they look up and see Toombs is perched nearby, the Warlock tech still augmenting his body. Source code! Self-enemy is infected with pure strain, cannot extract while he remains in control. Warlock warns Kurt. More of Warlock's tech slides over Toombs. He launches at the mutants. Now armored by Warlock tech and having new wings, he flies through them quickly, knocking the mutants and Sable away. He monologues during the attack, cursing the mutants for creating their own nation, for hiding their technology, for keeping their medicines and resurrection from mankind, for holding on to past grudges instead of ushering the Earth into a new realm of peace. But Kurt bamfs out of the way, drawing the Hope Sword and beaming around Toombs, hitting him again and again. Ja, I agree. We got a lot wrong. Lessons must be learned, he says, bamfing again, appearing in front of Toombs, stabbing him through the shoulder. But we won't ever make it work if we continue to normalize the hatred of bitter old men, Kurt says, the weapon sending energy through Toombs, the villain falling to the ground. Hope, Mr. Toombs. Hope is the only lesson that matters, Kurt whispers to him, returning to his friends with Warlock removing his tech from the Vulture's body, motioning to the computers, informing Kurt that Orcus has visual evidence that his body was being controlled when Kurt attacked those humans in his demon state. Thank you, Warlock, but I think we have to fight for what's right before we can fight for how it looked. Mystique is rushing over to the computers, warning the group that Orcus' soldiers have begun to amass outside of the portal. Kurt ponders it, thinking that he would bomb them all out, but he has to know where they are first. Toombs boasted this lab could be anywhere on the planet, Sable warns, but Warlock points to the building schematics. Negative! It is 2.63 meters below the treehouse entrance. He tells them, and Sable sighs at how cheap Orcus is. But Kurt has an idea, ordering Warlock to access the compound's assets. Outside, the soldiers are preparing for a fight, but the ground begins to shake beneath them. Suddenly, Rhino, now released from the control, bursts through the ground and begins to rampage. Using Rhino to hide their escape, Kurt waits in a nearby tree. Spider-Man arrives, congratulating the hero on stepping up to help his fellow mutants. I suppose I realized I can be a mutant without also just being a mutant. With great kinship comes great responsibility, Kurt says, offering to return Spider-Man's mask, suggesting that he can't just spend his time fighting muggers. But Spider-Man tells him to keep it. That sometimes it will be good for Kurt to just be a hero and unwind. Sometimes being a wall crawler is the only way to keep our feet on the ground, he says as he swings away. The statue that Kurt sits next to suddenly turns, revealing Mystique and Warlock hiding in plain sight. Kurt questions where they will go, and Mystique explains that she needs to find Destiny. I would like to introduce her to our son, Mystique says, but warns Kurt that the mutants have a fight coming. She turns and hugs her son tightly. I was hoping that we could answer it together, she says as she shifts again, taking on the image of a mother pushing Warlock as a stroller, and walks into the cold park. As Kurt watches them go, the imaginary demon appears. And what about me? The demon asks. Kurt rests on the tree and explains that he's always known that this demon wasn't imaginary. And I don't think you're going anywhere, are you? Legion. He says. The demon smiles. Ha ha! I knew you knew! He explains that he placed a small part of his consciousness in Kurt, that the real him is hidden away. In your hearts, in your hope, Legion whispers. Kurt bamfs again, this time appearing at a ledge at the Empire State Building, and Sable looks up, holding a cup of coffee out at him. The two sit, just being with each other, alone, and they watch as snow falls around the city before them.
And there you have it, Nightcrawler as the Uncanny Spider-Man. What did you guys think of this retconned origin? I thought it was interesting and kind of made sense. I liked it. What did you think? Let me know down below, and be sure to like and subscribe. Rest in peace, Benny.